We live in a day and age where technology is creating a world without borders, filled with unlimited potential to improve the lives of the people around us. Innovarex Global Health ushers in a new way of leveling the playing field with increased access to quality healthcare services delivered at your doorstep. Our qualified professionals are equipped with state-of-the-art point-of-care testing technology to conduct tests such as kidney function, liver function, electrolyte tests, body composition, hemoglobin, A1C, and many more services with the highest efficiency in delivering results. The addition to our flagship Wellness on Wheels, more fondly known as WOW Delivery Service, brings the entire clinical experience full circle. IGH has remained committed to creating the future of healthcare delivery. Gone are the days of sending loved ones outside the country for basic medical services. Innovarex Global Health offers a new peace of mind and takes pride in delivering the quality of care we all deserve.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
All right.
Honey, did you remind him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions?
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
Gamcell data now even better. Enjoy 20% extra data on all Gamcell data bundles. Buy 20 megabytes and get extra 4 megabytes. Buy 50 megabytes and get extra 10 megabytes. Buy 100 megabytes and get extra 20 megabytes. Any amount of Gamcell data bundle you buy, you will receive 20% extra data for free. Dial *302* data amount hash or go to your Yaiborom menu and choose your data bundle now. Gamcell data is fast, lasts longer and very reliable. Gamcell Yaiborom.
Hi, welcome. This is Kerr Fatou and my name is Buba Gajigo. Of course, this is a very important and a very special program that we are bringing to you today. And of course, you know, there is a research done by Gambia Participate, and of course, everyone is talking about it right now. And of course, the importance and everything that is involved in this research, we're going to talk about it today. And this research is on the current pay scale in the Gambia, which is very important, and it talks about different things. We're going to talk about corruption, you know, it tells a lot of things that we are going to talk about. But then I'm going to introduce two gentlemen who are with me in the studio here, and on my left is Usman Jallo. Usman, of course, is the consultant and, of course, researcher of this research, and I also have Yusuf Tello. He's a well-known journalist in this country, Flexstan. I also have him. Thank you very much for coming, gentlemen. Welcome to the program, Mr. Jallo. You are the consultant of this research, a very important one indeed. A lot of people are talking about it, and it's very important for Gambians to know what exactly is the reason behind this research. First, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gajigo. I am Usman Jallo, like you mentioned earlier. I did the study collaboration with Gambia participates. So basically, the main motive or the main purpose of the research was try to look at the first the status of the current pay scale of the Gambia, and then linking it to corruption. You know, how does an increase in pay scale or salaries affects corruption? And then not only that, the research also looked into the other regions. A comparative analysis was done between the Gambia, Sierra Leone, and then Nigeria. So, yeah, and then the results, probably we can discuss that later, but for now, that's the basics of the research.
That's right. Mr. Yusuf Tello, he's a veteran journalist in this country, very respected one indeed. Welcome to the program.
It's a pleasure to be here at Kerr, Fatou. Usually I'm always in the other studio.
That is right.
This is the first time of sitting in the sofa.
Yeah, the brunch studio. Yeah. So thank you very much, Mr. Jallo. So we go straight to the discussion about this research. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people are talking about it, and they'll be interested to know what exactly and why you go for this research. Tell us more about this research.
Yes, thank you once again, Mr. Gajigo. The research, it was an extensive research, and then what we did was, when we were selecting the comparative countries, the countries that we want to use to do the comparative analysis, we look at the WAM zone countries, that is the West African Monetary Zone. It was a multi-currency country. We have countries with different currencies, so it's a very difficult type of research to do. So one of the elements that we use is the economic indicators, the economic drivers of those countries. And we realized that Sierra Leone, Gambia is better than Sierra Leone in terms of economic activities, in terms of GDP and per capita income. But then on the other hand, Nigeria had a better economy to that of the Gambia. That is, they have a better GDP and then per capita income. So their living standards are better than the Gambia. But then, because of this WAMI convergence criteria, Gambia is also very close to Nigeria. And then they are all English-speaking countries. So it is easier to do a comparative analysis around those countries than just to go and do with the, let's say, for example, Senegal or counterparts. It would be very difficult to do that. But the research shows that it is possible, actually, to increase government salaries, you know, across the board, not in percentage terms, but then in actual figures relating it to the inflation of the Gambia. Because every year, our inflation is on the rise. It's increasing every year. So we need to have a deep study also to look at the inflation of the Gambia and then our current pay scale. You cannot be working for 5 good years without having an increment. And then you have price of goods and services increasing every day. So it is not matching. And then if you look at the salary inequalities between the Gambia and Sierra Leone and then Nigeria, we are way behind than these two countries. These two countries, even though Sierra Leone, they have a better salary than us. Can you imagine? We are doing better than them economically, but then they have a better salary than us. Not only that, but then their salary inequality gap is not widening like the Gambia. In the Gambia, what a janitor earns and what a director earns is uncomparable. But in Sierra Leone and then Nigeria, the more the more degrades, the more they try to close the gaps. Yeah, so these are some of the gaps, these are some of the lapses that we notice in the study.
Going through the report, I've seen that as you mentioned, you've compared Gambia to other bigger countries like Sierra Leone and Nigeria. Someone will tend to wonder, Gambia is a small country. You comparing the Gambia to Nigeria and Sierra Leone. Do you think they are the right countries to compare the Gambia to?
Yes. Like I said earlier, Gambia is a small country, but it's actually doing very well economically. We have very good economic policies. Our GDP is okay. Our per capita income is okay. Looking at Sierra Leone, they have a bigger country than us. They have a bigger population. They have natural resources. And we are doing better than them in terms of even the WAMI convergence, in terms of our economic drivers. We are doing way better than Sierra Leone.
So now you look at, this is about salary increment, right? Because the studies focus on the salary increment and of course the corruption level. I want us first to talk about the salary increment, because the government, people will say they've increased salary, but is it about the grades, or what exactly do you think is the problem?
Yes, that's the problem. We are not aligning our salaries and our living standards. Like I said earlier, every year, let's say, for example, a bag of rice, from January to now, February, there is an increment of, let's say, $50. But is this reflecting like a $2 in your salaries? Obviously, no. But if you look at other organizations, other international organizations, for example, they have benchmarking. Gambia, when last did we do a benchmarking for public servants to look at our pay scale and then the sub-region for the international standard pay scale? We don't do that. There's no benchmarking. I've not seen it. This last pay scale was 30% across the board.
Yeah.
There was a benchmarking done to determine that, you know what, now we have to have an overhaul of the overall salary scale. But it was never, it never materializes. What they did was just to have 30% across the board, which is really serious. And
looking at the salary structure in the country, if you increase 30% to someone who is earning grade 1, that is equals to nothing.
Nothing. It's like in $100.
Yeah. Even other people were complaining that this was not even implemented. So
yeah, partially.
It was just announced, and for the first month they were paid, but it was never implemented. So I'll get back to you. Let me get Yusuf Taylor Flextan, who actually also did a lot as far as this research is concerned. Can you take us through what you understand about this research document?
Yes, the research document is a very interesting publication because it's the first time I've seen something like this being done, comparing different salary pay scales from different countries in West Africa as well. So they are our neighbors. And looking at this specific, even giving a background, because one thing which is important, the research is highlighting that the government of the Gambia established a task force comprising the PMO, Accountant General, and Ministry of Finance to work on the implementation of the new grading scale that was to come into effect by July 1st, 2022. But we know that towards the end of the year, of course, as 2021, President Barrow won a term, and he made promises that he would increase salaries. This probably was what he was referring to towards that period, but things changed. The report now says, however, the new grading scale was never implemented, only for the government to announce a 30% increment for all government officials. So there is, what this is telling you is that there is a new salary pay scale somewhere there in government. The cabinet has actually approved that salary pay scale, and they have not implemented it. And they were serious, because to put all these offices there together into a task force, PMO, Accountant General, and Ministry of Finance, for this pay scale, you know, it demonstrates that the government definitely went far, and to even approve it at cabinet level. So, I think this is one of the things which this report really highlights.
Interesting. So this was approved during a cabinet meeting, but it was never implemented, right?
It was never implemented. And, there are many things which have happened since then. That's why I try to connect the research to the wider things which are happening in the country.
Yeah.
If you remember, there's a change in the government, the way the government is working. There's even a new ministry which is in charge of civil service reform policy.
Yeah, yeah.
So whether now, is it going to be that ministry that is going to take that up? Because if you look here, it says comprising PMO. I want to believe PMO would have been the one leading that. Yes. And Accountant General, Ministry of Finance. They were the guys that were dealing with this thing before this new ministry has been formed. But now there's a new ministry in charge of civil service reform. And it is not going to be impossible for perhaps that they may be the one to take that up. But the government should give the people clarity. What exactly is the intention of the government? Are they going to throw that work which they've done out? Or are they going to pick it up? Which ministry is going to implement it? Is it still going to be PMO, which I believe perhaps they may be the right place?
Yeah.
And in working in tandem with the civil service reform and all of that. So it's a very important research when you tie it down to what has been happening in the country since those salary increases and these plans have been,
So, but how is, what I've seen in this report is the report is linking salary increment to corruption. How are these two linked? People will tend to wonder salary increment and corruption.
Yes. So I think I will let him. He'll be the best.
Because it's the
but I can explain some few things.
Okay.
Because I have really spent my time to go through it. So there's a quantitative aspect of this research, and there's a qualitative aspect. What that means is, first they check the numbers and to see, and also they also did questionnaire. That's the qualitative aspect, which is they sent some questionnaires to some 300 civil servants. And when they asked all of them whether they were happy with their current pay scale, 88% of them are saying that they are not happy with it. When you ask them further about what can be done to address corruption, many of them say increment of salaries. Because if you look at it and you take a step back, because if somebody is earning 1,500 and bag of rice is costing 1,000, maybe 600, almost 2,000. Yeah,
and a lot of people are encountering that problem.
Exactly,
it's a problem.
So, Buba, you are going to have to go and work. And go and get another job elsewhere.
That is right.
You're going to have to try to get resources elsewhere. And if you are even just not going to work and you are working elsewhere, that means you are cheating in the public service. Because that's corruption.
That is corruption. You are right.
So there are many ways that you look at it. Like when people, I think it's a case of not just increasing salaries. You have to put in safeguards. And there are many, many measures which need to be alongside. People need to understand, like the carrot and the stick. You understand? You are rewarded when you do well, and you have to face consequences when you don't perform to expectation. If somebody is even earning, this is what one of the research is saying. If someone is earning a well-secured job and they're earning good money, and they know that if they misbehave, it's clearly in their TOR, and they keep reminding them, this is truly reforms that we are talking about, because it needs reforms, and engagement is part of reforms. Then they know that if they mess up, they are going to lose their job. I think they will think twice.
Yeah, that is
definitely.
right.
And especially if that money that they are paid is able to cater for their standard of living. Most people would not want to
take bribe.
Jeopardize
that is right. Because, for example, if you are paid, look at this basic salary. I'm actually quoting this from the from the research. 1,241 basic salary. So, for example, if someone who is having a family of, let me just say 5, at least you consume 2 bags of rice. So this is less than a bag of rice because it's now going to $2,000, you know, so it's expensive, including your allowances. It would not.
And
so
remember, Buba, they just increased transportation not too long ago.
Continuously.
So civil servants are really going under the bus. It's unfortunate.
Someone told me the last time that you know, is a security personnel. These are people that are paying for transport and it's deducted. Every month they will see it in their payslip, but they are not giving buses to transport them. They pay fare every day, which is very sad. So, Mr. Jallo, I was talking about, of course, Flex touched on it, about how you link this salary increment to corruption. I know people tend to, of course, people understand now because Flex has explained a bit of it. But then you did this research and you worked with Gambia Participate. How were you able to do it?
Yeah, quantitatively, as discussed, a 10% increment in the salary will lead to a 6% reduction in terms of corruption. Corruption is difficult to quantify. It's not only monetary terms, but then other forms of incentives that are not monetary. Let me give an example. You are paying me a salary of, let's say, $10,000, and the per diem for 2 weeks is close to $150,000 or $200,000. So in a month, a senior government official will travel at least once. I'm just giving an example, at least once. I think those were the few people who said they are satisfied with the salary.
Salary, of course.
Yeah, because it will take
that is obvious.
2, 3, 4 months, you don't even look at your salary. Because when you travel in a month, 150 or around $200,000, you don't look after the salary. You are more of per diem hunters. So, but when you increase salaries, and then all these per diems, you discourage the per diems, only the eligible staff who should travel will travel in this case. Because if you give me a per diem of 150, even the director will want to travel for a junior position, for example. Now, not only that, but then per diems for the Gambia is really sad. You know how we pay per diems and then also training abroad. You have in the public service, you have a handful staff training abroad. They could have done local training here. An individual staff will spend millions just for training, the program, plus the allowance, the housing, and all those benefits. And then in the Gambia, your basic salary is running, is going. So will that person complain about salaries? Obviously no. And then when you come back, now the problem is, where will I fix you? That's always a problem. Now you train me fully. So what they do later, if you train me as a pilot, I came and you don't give me an airplane to fly. So you give me something called retention allowance. How can you train me as a pilot and you don't have planes available for me to fly?
That would be difficult.
Yeah, so we have, there is a bigger, topic. Just the corruption is just huge. Like I said, it's not only the monetary terms, but then this is what the research looked at. It looked at all the facets in terms of, because we took the corruption index of the Gambia from the Transparency International, the latest, but then we are way behind, brother. Yeah, so
that is interesting. Now, looking at this report is focusing on the salary increment and also corruption. What were you able to find out deep? Now, you've mentioned about senior government officials that will say they are of course satisfied, with their salaries because of the per diems that they have.
Correct,
and most of the time, these are the people that are more associated with the corruptions and the big monies. So if they are satisfied, what were you able to find out as far as that is concerned?
Yes, like I said earlier, if they are satisfied with that level of salary, well, the junior staff will continue to suffer. Yeah, because the junior staff, for example, will not travel. But when you discourage per diems, I was talking to Flex, or like when I have a conversation with my friends, in other countries. When you try to explain to them per diem, they don't understand. Honestly, they don't understand what per diem means.
You mean
Yes,
in their countries there is no...
because they are like a 250, for example, a 200 pounds, 180 pounds per night. That is bizarre for someone just to understand. So we are paying a person for that. And then a person, most of the time, sometimes, if you go, you spend all the 2 weeks. You have a friend in England, for example. You spend all the 2 weeks in England. Still, we have to pay you and then when you come back, there is a problem of accountability. When I give you an impress, when you come back, I expect you to bring supporting documents.
Just recently the National Assembly.
Yes, you see. So these are the issues. But let's say in the private sector, you will come back and then you bring your supporting documents. And even those supporting documents, some of them are questions. Because you can have a program, a conference in Bursubi, and then you take a hotel at Tabokot or Birkama. There is a question. Why is it so far? So all these things, even if we increase salaries in this case, but we still have a lot more to do. That is in terms of control. How do you control the leakages? There are a lot of leakages that we are not controlling.
Are you insinuating that per diems should be stopped or
reduced? No. It should not be stopped, because if I go for an official trip, all that I spend should be reimbursed. I should be given an advance, for example, but to give me a lump sum of 180 pounds unaccounted for.
Yeah, that is undone.
That is undone. But if I give 180 pounds, your meals, your hotel, that is accommodation, and then your local transportation, when you come back, these things are not accounted for. They are just given as lump sum, and then that's it, and then they forget about it. They're just treated as expenses. So yeah, and then we look at the budgets, the individual institutional budgets in terms of travel and training. They are way more than salaries. Honestly,
capacity building trainings.
Yes, capacity building trainings abroad.
This country is another thing.
Yeah,
we are very good at that.
Even the local training, they have increased the local training that they did sometime last year or year before last. I can't remember anyway. To discourage discourage international travel. There was COVID. What they did was to add more on the daily per diems of local trainings. So because now there is no more of international per diem because these travel restrictions.
Yeah.
But a person will go for 4 days or 5-6 days, and then you come home with $40,000, $50,000. So yeah, that is a huge problem.
That is interesting. Flex, now we look at the how do you think this should be tackled as far as this research is concerned? Were you able to identify?
Yeah, I think the research is a very useful document for policy advisors, people who are writing up these policy documents. That's why I was talking about, I don't know which office is going to spearhead these efforts to reform the pay scale, because it's clearly some effort is going on. And we encourage government in that effort that they are doing. It's just a case of following through. So because of there are many leakages, and I think even further, more comprehensive study can be done. This is a contribution. This study is a contribution. There are more efforts, because even government themselves, if you can remember, back in 2017, there was one publication written by Mustafa K. Dabo about ghost names. In
the system, the government pay scales.
Yes. So about 3,000 workers were removed in the as ghost names. So this is not once. Gambia Participates also did another study, and in the COVID millions, they were raised up some allowances, ghost names, and those ones, salary is one side, allowances is another
side.
Yes. So there are many holes to grab.
They just increase names that are not even working with them.
Sometimes it's family members, sometimes it's loved ones, sometimes it's somebody's girlfriend or somebody's wife or something like that. You know, I don't want to say that, but these are
no, but this is the that's the reality, yeah.
You know, so unfortunately, and these are the gaps that sometimes, you know, capitalize on, and I think government should look at these things. Because of when the Minister of Health came to
National Assembly,
he was actually crying for help. And I think the parliamentarians should have done something about it.
Yeah, that is right.
You know, so even though on one hand we have to congratulate the government with the efforts on the pay scale and all of that, but they have not followed through, and all they've done is to increase the gap between the rich and the poor. Because if you look at in Gambia now, salary inequality. When you say salary inequality, you're looking at the difference between the lowest grade and the highest grade.
The highest grade, yeah.
It's in Gambia is 651% between grade 1 and grade 12. It's not done. If you go to Sierra Leone, it's about 220 something percent. Yeah. And so if you look at that, that's like it telling you that the salary gap between those at the bottom and at the top in Gambia is 3 times more than in Sierra Leone and in Nigeria. You know, that means that there's gross inequality between the rich and the poor.
That is right.
Somebody, at least in Nigeria, in Sierra Leone, they are both earning around 3,000 something.
Yeah.
For their basic salaries.
Yeah.
You know,
In Nigeria, it's 3,802.
At least somebody can buy 1 bag of rice.
Exactly.
You know,
and it's a huge difference.
It's a huge difference.
2,561.
You see,
that is
That's just the difference. So I was earning 1,400, 1,000
honestly,
something.
It's
so I think there's a lot of things that.
Don't you think also it's a matter of Nigeria having more resources than the Gambia?
You know, that's true. That's true. Also, I think I can agree with that to some extent.
But
yeah, but that is not the only thing, because of you look at it per capita.
Yes,
it's about per capita as well. Even though one person is still one person, you know, the cost of living differs slightly between in Nigeria and in Sierra Leone and Gambia. Yeah, but if you look at it, it's not that much of a major difference.
That's right.
You know, and perhaps if anything, it probably should be cheaper to live in Gambia, I would say. I would want to believe. But still, there's a lot of things. Even in fact, I think one of the things which has been, when you talk about corruption, yes, which has been highlighted here, most of those who they asked in the survey, because there's a survey in this report, when they asked them about what can be done to reduce corruption, all of them, all 100% of the 300 government officials, and these are people working in the Ministry of Finance, Lands, and many other offices, they believe that salary increment is capable of reducing the corruption level in the Gambia. All of them, every one of them. And not only that, 81% of them also believe that the main action that can keep them from engaging in corrupt practices is salary increment, pay increment. Whilst only 19% believe that maybe it's not salary increment, it's other things.
I believe they are right. Because if a police, for example, a police officer is paid $25,000 today, I'll just give an example, and you want to bribe that police officer with 200.
No.
You know, so we would
exactly.
Salary increment.
They tend to be more honest, you know, more committed and more efficient. When you feel like, you know what I'm having home is okay, my pocket is okay. How can you bribe me with $200 while I'm receiving, like you said, $25,000? To me, come on, it's nothing. It doesn't worth my job security and then my loyalty to my employer.
And it's very important for us to know that corruption is on the increase. Just in the start of the year, Transparency International Index, they are ranking Gambia 110 out of, I believe, 180
countries.
And last year, Gambia was 102nd. We were better than 9 places, better than Senegal.
We were even better than Senegal last year.
But now,
it's increasing. I think Senegal, they are becoming more serious. They are about even to prosecute the people who are involved in taking their COVID money, using it anyhow they want.
Yeah.
They are going to prosecute
And we
them.
need
But
to
in the
have
country here, we
It's
have...
never too late
Yeah.
to prosecute.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we need to have an anti-corruption bill. That is a matter of urgency. National Assembly members who have the power and the opportunity to tell their children that they were parliamentarians who passed this anti-corruption bill have a huge opportunity. And that will change the game. That will reduce corruption. That will, at least bring some action, some sanctions towards these things.
All right. So, Mr. Jallo, we go straight. As far as you are the researcher in the, of course, consultant. So, what are the recommendations? Now, I want us to start with maybe the short term. Probably if you do a research, you will have some recommendations that you will have. What are the recommendations, and what are the short terms and long term? But then let's start with the short term.
Yeah, first, as I mentioned in my study, is to have an overhaul of the current pay scale, because it should be the previous scale, but then it's the current pay scale. The service sector should be looked at. Job descriptions of individual positions should also be looked at. Like I was talking to Flex, how many government officials do we have that know exactly their job descriptions, their JD? How many of them have it? Ask them. They will tell you, well, I've never seen a job description. I only saw it in
they're
the
not even
advert.
interested
If
in
there was an
having
advert,
them.
I only saw it in the advert, and then that was it. And when you start your employment, the first thing that you should receive from your employer or your ministry should be your job description. So 2-3 people, because what we have right now is 3 people doing one single job, one single role. You go to your office, you see 3 of them sleeping, and the 4th one doing the same job, because they cannot all be doing the same job at the same time. So inefficiency comes in. Efficiency is when one person does the role assigned to him according to his or her job description. The other thing is to look at the increment, to align the salary increment to the inflationary figures. Not just to come and say, you know what, 30% across the board. You charge me 30%, and at the same time you taxed back 30%, around 25% of it.
So everything is gone.
Yes, it doesn't make sense. You cannot pay me, for example, you pay me $2,000, you take back the $700. You know what? Pay this as tax. So yes, these are the things that the policy makers, I would not say it, but then the policy makers should really look into.
Interesting. So were you able to find out, because I've seen one of the things that you've recommended is for the Gambia to review, and of course you said the Gambia should review and I give the civil servants compensation to align with the standard used by other similar countries in the region. But were you able to find out in West Africa, or you just pick few countries and you compare them to Gambia? Do you think we have the lowest pay scale in?
Yes, as a research, there are obviously some limitations, and then research is really expensive.
Yeah, it is.
If you want to go for the whole 17 or 18 countries, then that's a whole lot of time and then resources. But then according to these 3 countries that we use, that we share the same economic drivers, we are one of the lowest in terms of, and even there was a World Bank report and then an IMF report stating we have one of the lowest pay scale in the sub-region. So yeah, this is just an extended study of all these things, just to justify what the World Bank and then the IMF said. But yeah,
I can tell you this information alone, just coming up with this information alone is excellent piece of work. Because,
and it's very important for them to read.
And journalists need to know this. The people, obviously, any civil servant, I mean, I was trying to do a little bit of research, and from information we get in, how many civil servants are there in this country? It's about in the thousands. I think around 40,000 from D.A. Jawo in 2017 when he was given a press conference. That same article that Mustafa Dabo wrote about. So there is a huge amount, and even the salary increase, the 30% salary increase, it also have economic implications because of salary from last year. In the first 9 months, the finance minister in his budget speech, he highlighted it, was about 3.3 billion. That's emoluments, personnel emoluments. So that's salaries, allowances, and all of them.
No.
And now in this last 3 months, that's the previous 2021 was about 3.3 billion, but in 2022, the first 9 months is up to 4.1 billion. So this takes a lot. And if you imagine our budget, that's for the first 9 months alone. Our budget is around 20-something million. So that's a large chunk, going into those things. So there needs to be a plan. Government can have to have a direction as to where are they going with this. Are they going to go along with the pay scale as recommended or not? And also, it touches also on a lot of other issues. For example, to have key performance indicators.
Yes, right.
Because these are very important, because without key performance indicator, you cannot monitor whether the progress on the performance of staff. Because of how are we going to be rewarding staff? How are we going to ensure that the staff are performing without annual reviews and those kind of things? So all of these things are included in the study. But I think the one thing which I will highlight is also part of reform, which is to look at the current system, the ghost names, and to try to make sure that we have people who are fit for purpose in there. Because simple things like that, I believe the last time in 2017, according to that report, which I keep going back to, Mustafa Dawa wrote it and quoted the former information minister. 125 million was lost just from ghost names.
Ghost names.
Ghost names, just like that. So corruption is something which we can really work on if they make sure that they reform the Public Service Commission, computerize everything, which I believe they should be on computerized, so that they can be able to weed out these kind of things. You cannot be paying people. Look at the last time. The biggest blunder in this country, if I could say, Central Bank.
Yeah, exactly.
Millions were paid into people's accounts.
people just walk up and we are receiving millions of dollars in their account. So that was crazy.
It's a serious sign.
Yeah.
Like imagine. And until now, they are not telling us fully what have happened.
What have happened?
Like
exactly.
How have they recovered all those monies? What monies have escaped. Last time we were asking, I was asking the finance minister. We were asking the finance minister at a budget session at the parliament there. I don't know if you were there, but they never give you a straight answer. So these are all part of transparency.
That is right. That is right. So baringol ngal tentu kalje bake be kacha be nyemu special program ultimi alonko nga nati alebi Gambia participate molle bijang mara karola min bijang walem Usman Diallo Usman Diallo woldung akam dala ko kayto dada kayto be diamo kam minna drong walem Gambia la joroti a selo anajio to abol coming commandi the pay scale la anum fanang ya chokinde minna walem corruptionoti walem tapaleani jenko miyalon ko wala ka taranna doku lalo miyalon ko wala ka doku ke mansa kundalto ya choki minna be wala ka kan bi annon munatin na nyin research walem kiskisiroti buko miyalon ko wala fintindi mbe wala kacha kan promol sa fahamu munatin na yake bari amanke munatin na yake damma aketa mune kan andon ye muneje kabring yela ni kiskisirol ke Usman Diallo bijanne mi alonko atedabe mol konele mi alonko kiskisir lalem bari nga flex dan fanan sotele mi alonko jamal ka kumande Yusuf Telo journalist balem Gambia banko kanjang afana mbijande pour ka nyin kaja Usman ko nga fo nyame angale kangoto munatina alne nyin kiskisiro nata ana le muneje.
Okay, baraka bake for kajego. Nyin kiskisiro anata bin kama wolem ka fenko jube ka mansakunda dokulal ke jomina aning kaning fenko choke comme ya fanya min kaning fenko
tapale
anin jengo aman dang boto da ma bari atara la fanan ka banko dol jube mi yalon ko banko mi yalon ko in Gambia man jam fa nyola baage nanata fenko la soto la
karola ha
so ba yala banko ngamilta wolem Sierra Leone ti anin Nigeria Gambia fisara Sierra Leone ti fenko
soto Kenya la
bari fanang Nigeria fanang fisiata Gambia so ba jalal ko bring nga ñu fulo ñi banku fulolta mi yalon ko ila fenko akatata bakale asa ila sotornya anila ika banku tamandi nyame fanang akatata bake ani ibe fanang katuba ko angalele fo
ha
so ba jalal wala be fayala dan kata banku mi yalon ko imanta tuba ko fo ko ngani so bari Gambia ka dalasile mol ka dalasile use Sierra Leone ka Lyon le use and Nigeria ka Naira le use ba ñi banko nin ko do tala ab kole abala wala nga sotonya ila sotonya katandi sotonya wala na mol nga wata bari ñing kiskisuro ay mi ngi tandi wala Gambia mol be ko ma bake nata fenko la joro la comme na mansakunda joro karfajo am bete hando mandi ni yani banku dol jubeng comme Sierra Leone mi alon kon tolbe na soronya la siara Sierra Leone la banku jo wala fi saran tol tati bari amandango damaro bari wala comme kilina kamin soto nanga minka fitara la
fitaro
kamin soto anim boss kamin soto ajam fa batale so ba jela boss kamin domo anim fitara la kamin domo ate kino la kilin so corruption o bisialal ni mom poliso comme ya fa nyame ngale kan wala ni ka poliso jo baake ni yakko dire ni ka poliso jo 25000 nata ngombe 200 dira pour man lan sino so wala nga 200 dira abentu lo fa dira
ate sonna ka
ate sonna ba fa ite ilafta nga fonna do ko la nyim fanan ka fu ala do ko la wala na keta fankol bije sartol bije mi yalon ko ya landi comme ni nyinke ibe soron la wala ni nyinke ibe bayla ba ja police hotel keno la mbedan na janne
follow yes flex mom dafa wasi olof comme ni ma ko waxee si soose rek dafa mel ni Gambia participate ñëpp xam nañ ko Gambia fii nii ñu ngi dañ def research génne nañ ko ba pare research bi nag mbiri fay boo xam ne government suñ nguur bi dañ ko dee fay liggéeykat yi nguur yi dañ ko link ak corruption loolu lañ ko ren document bi so ñu ngi fi pour waxtaane research boobu noonu lan lañ fa jëlee loolu lañ nekk di waxtaane flex mu ngi fi moom tamit nañu waxal lan moo waral research bi ni ak lan lañ am si biir research bi
research bu important la lu ko waral mooy gis nañ ne Gambia salaries ak yeneen dëkk suñ ko checké
suñ ko toolalee
dinañ gis ne Gambia suñ salary delu na gannaaw des na gannaaw trop so loolu tamit important na ndik lan because corruption problem la si dëkk bi suñu xoolee Gambia performance wise corruption index bi ñu ngi dem si kaw ñu ngi gën a dem ñu gën a am corruption so loolu war na ñu xool ñu gestu lana tax corruption mu ngi dem si kaw so even though bokkuma si research si wante dama dee
read nga document
bi Gambia participate ba binda naa si sax ba def si benn video report te lu ma gis si report bi mooy feeñal ne Sierra Leone ak Gambia ak Nigeria seen salaries from grade 1 all the way to grade 12 di wone seen salaries yi di nga mun a gis ne Gambia sun salaries yi agana comme 1000 basic salary 1000 was
1,241.
241. Wante soko tolale Sierra Leone. Grade 1 si. Ñom aganen $3,000. Over 3,000 for now 200.
Yeah, Nigeria $3,802.
Yes, Nigeria
and
even more.
Difference we have a lot of difference.
Wow, difference be bari na torop. So lolu tamit important na si research. Research bi feeñal na def na yeneen calculations use na economic models yoo xam ne calculate nañ pour xool lan mooy impact of sun yokkee salary ak corruption ndax loolu dina wàññi corruption te gis nañ ne soo usee comme salary increment 10% nekkul necessarily across the board but just overall generally 10% soo ko yokkee increase of salaries 10% mun naa wàññi corruption by up to 6%. te gis nga ne corruption soo ko wàññee mun naa indi lu bari mun naa indi for example even investment because of da ngaa gis ne ñuy ñëw di invest ci biir dëkka den dee xool ndax dëkka bi am na
njuuj njaaj wala amu ko
exactly
that is important
corruption boobu daf dee dugga si operational cost business because foog business yi tamit factor in ne lii suma buggee suma container bi mu jaara te man suma business mu nekk maa ngi jaay jënda jaay container laa am indi naa suma bagage yi wante pour génne ko
problème la
dinaa am pour jaay
da ngaa ñëw ñu ne la da nga bribe balaa ngay am sa container so dañoo ragal
daf dee affect corruption daf dee even affect economic activity nekk just salaries rek la nekk di am impact so overall on a wider scale.
ma la doon la ci si angale because soo xoolee research bii nii mu ngi link salary pay scale bi ak corruption si boppam ku toog fale ko xam ne maybe understand moom dafa wanda loolu naka la mun a linké salary increment pour yokka fay bi ak corruption.
loolu nag laajte bu am solo la te laajte boobu noonu di nga gis ne gars yi dañ use benn mathematical model mathematical model bii nag ñu ko ooyee fully modified OLS waaw loolu yi jàngaat ñoo xam ne ñi economic mathematician xam naa ne mun nga koo feeñal si screen bi si kanam gars yi gis ko comme i calculus la waaw i mathematics ak yeneen factor na in corruption index bi of dëkka bi you know factor na in compensation EM employee compensation ak i yeneen waaw so loolu moom économiste yi moom consultant bi moom mooy bawda bi foofu moom moo gën a xam wante loolu la gars yi use yenn calculations yoo xam ne daf dee mun a plug in some variables wante kon nu nga ko doon waxee gis nañ ne corruption mu ngi increase
mu ngi dem si kaw
because of Gambia last year before also ñu ngi amoon 102 si dëkka bi out of 180 out of the whole si world
bi yëpp waaw
wante léegi this year aga neen
110
so yokku neen out of 180 so increase neen by 9 places
ñun ñoo dooroon Sénégal waaye dafa mel ni Sénégal daf ñu génne
Sénégal léegi génne neen bàyyi nañu gannaaw so loolu yëpp factor na a lot of issues yoo xam ne suñ xoolee recommendations yi te recommendation bi mooy lan gis neen ne government bi dafa bëggoon a indi benn pay scale boo xam ne utee naa ak 30% bu gaay ini te loolu demoon neen ba cabinet nekkoon na liggéey boo xam ne government PMO bokkoon nañ si Ministry of Finance tamit bokkoon nañ si ak yeneen ministries su ma mënutee remember ñoom yëpp bokkoon nañ si task force la woon indi neen woon pay scale boo xam ne moom la gaay bëggoon a implement boobu noonu nekkoon ne 30% across the board boobu daf doon xaw a improve salaries at a more with rationalized things a little bit but gaay gestu ñoom ñoo xalaat ñoom ñoo xam lu gaay def lu tax ñu def loolu def 30% across the board wante loolu baaxut loolu baaxut
di 30% bi moom ñu bari ñu ngi complain man ko doon wax si anglais because soo xoolee foog naa teacher yi ñoo doon strike ñoom startoon nañ strike ñu ne dafa ñoom even 30% bi gars yi dañu ko stop nañ di ko joxe so xam naa the other sectors tamit probably is the same thing suñ stopee teacher yi
it's a challenge so instead nañ delluwaat ñu xool lu gën a because of government am na good intention
yow dëgg la because soo xoolee if Sierra Leone ñoo xam ne ëpp ñu doole ñu ngi fay loo xam ne Gambia nekkuñ di ko fay den mun nañ koo fay te duñu affect.
Exactly. Of course. foog naa ne definitely but te place bi issue bi tamit mooy fan la gaay di yokku. so den war a xool fan la gaay di yokku. ñu make sure ne ñu increase ñu nekk si ron. ñu mun a at least
exactly because ñu bari ñu ngi wane grades si la ñu war a yokk.
Grades yi.
Yeah, the grades are very small. So only grade 1 1,241. Grade 2 1,674. So the family the grades are very small.
Indeed. That's a challenge. That's a big challenge because of grade 1 warna call so compare it to Sierra Leone you get up to 3,000 plus. So then what a take gap bobu non. Ba pare amna lu ñu or salary inequality. Lolu moy lan grade 1 so lu mo an ak grade 12 lu ñu an so ko tolale. So di nga gis ne Gambia dafa bari. So ko compare ak Sierra Leone.
Dafa bari, yeah.
So ko compare ak Nigeria. Almost 3 times difference bi.
That is right.
So ñu nekk si ron ak ñu nekk si kaw. So lolu den wara wañi gap bobu nonu trop. Wow.
Yeah. That is to me one ka dega because lolu la nekk di observe using grade 1 1,241 and grade 12 is 9,318. There is huge gap. Da nga gis ne for Nigeria, their grade 1 is 3,802 and their grade 12 is 12,903. So the gap is
ku nekk Sierra Leone. Then lu ci xamul mo nekk Sierra Leone ñu doon am riot. Doon am civil unrest.
ñu ngi nekkoon ci problème.
Am na ñu dee. Ba président bi sax ne ñoom ñooy government bi ñooy suul ñooñu. Du leen bàyyi ñu dem or whatever. Gis nga amoon na a serious problem but even though grade 1 mun na aan saaku maalo. Sierra Leone. At least ba pare nga des tuuti
nga dese xaalis kay.
na léegi luwaas ngay dem pour gis nga so cost of living.
So we earn this 1,200 something. We war a jënd saaku maalo.
This is less than saaku maalo.
Fan la jëlee extra bu moo jëndee saaku maalo.
Exactly.
Saaku maalo xam nga.
Kon saaku maalo bi dafa nekk ne saaku maalo boobu noonu daf ko proportion de.
No, foofu la corruption bi di ñëw. Exactly.
Because maa la fay lii. For example, yow yaa ma fay 10,000. Maa ngi dawal Range Rover.
Exactly.
Fan la jëlee Range Rover.
If I'm receiving, my received 1,200. So my receive maybe 800 pour jënd saaku maalo for my family. So I have to go and get it. It doesn't matter. Do they matter si gars yi naka laa koy amee so but I have to.
Am na léegi Gambia ñëpp a xam raba. Moo tax léegi ñun ñëpp a am na lu ñëw raba. Am sa job.
Yeah.
Am raba.
You have your raba also. That is the side
jobs. Consider loolu boy raba is very important. It na sa war nañ door di quantify. Ñaata la day am si economic wise ñaata la raba.
Raba de dugal. Loolu dëgg la. Mr. Jallow ngata alla recommendation da ngalong ni keskisiro ke alka suiterol fintindi le mi alon ko ngine suute natara nyin keta don iba jela ko nyin problem mol be asi solve no ale mun suute ko no kon
comme recommendation right be mi recommend la wala ngami recommend fa inata ka wala they did the opposite because
the opposite of that
because recommendation one of recommendation do be mi alon ko imanyanda ka funko lafa mo be
ya kakanyandi
mobe 30% wala tangning saba
no tan saba ha kemo kono sidula tan saba ni ala fa mobe ibajila milbe a jama soro kan wala ka kodo so ha
ni kan jo 10,000 la sa no 13,000 but ni kan jo 1,000 mo jelati $100 or $50 is
wala
but then ibe min jono la wo 10 or 15,000 la sa en wala wala la faro dama as manu bodo fula sanno wala bari ndela la faro nte mi yalon ko man kafitaro la ke government official do ko ti me wala sanna so ba wo mu clean fula wala na fun ko jibe ni nga do ko dila nyanta ka fo en nyin karo no nyin sango na banda nyanta ka nyinni ke wala nyanta ka nyinni nafe pour ngela fen ko suman ila do ko pour nga suman ni ma molo do ko suman no ala kala problème molde ka jibe sa me min kan la wala ka fankol ka incentive sol kije ka jusu nyaborongol kije mi yaron ko ning 12 months ning sango ni banda ni ñi min ñi nafe be ñi la fale la karol fanko jotol comme ni project fula nafe na be ñi min ñi be 50% adle la
salary to ya
mol bol ke kan private sector ba ke kan mi yalon ko imanke man
masakunda do ha
wala na ni mo man masakunda ka somanda juno ma abala doko dula
ay wuli ay ta do
ba yalon no
abuka discourage fa
ha bari tri
no woni dafa important ya ñu koy liggéey government ko nga jox sa nga teel dem because of what you are earning you receive and it's finished so you nga whole compared to people that are working you can continue working in the private sector
adiamo siada comme ngamo call about government doko la nka sula fena pour na staff sol nge fenge men bari malong aka nyaare bari anytime ni nga call asa fonye $100 bi man na doko la wala ñi wala kandimi bari yana wo nae wo musu fanko soto wo measuring key performance indicators nae wo soto no abetar la janning kari 6 months o kabang half of it aya bank
yeah
ning sango ñim banta e coming for staff appraisal fana ñen nakana nin ta fa wala ila boss anite alisi ale kacha ila boss ñin nga ko ñing sango be kon yemu neke ya faye sain mu la problème ya faye to baaje e ko wolle ta ya la sarali la fa bari sarali la faro wanya ke every reality amanya naka bado ko inflation kata nyamen inflation malam bo folo man ko to nyaari bari wala ñing
na fanko la selo ana
jio wala mani boto ni tata next week probably abela falale so wala inflation ak wala affect so ntela balu be la fakan bari na sotoro man la fakan so wo fana problem molde den do ñim fana wala comme nin ko man ko do soto to nyala bari nka ko di jelleta nka bula tamaroto tamo mo be tama kan ye mo dol be je fon mol ka nickname dilan ka fo ko ite iyabe
portal to ya ni tara anytime i getara
ibe tuddi be dum ka be finde ka so wo wote complain no la sarali ko so ñinnam few points mi yalan ko fana nga recommend pour yin jube baake jikiro
bi je bari research kamin tandi wala nyindi ko natara jol lafata don ibaje la tapale ani jenko abe talala bakele Gambia jang anum fananka senandi natara 10% neta kemo kono sidula tangi wala lafa ibaje la ko tapale ani jenko be jila abe jila 6% kemo kono sidula woro la be jila Felix ñu ngi doon waxtaanee about recommendations yi pour nga wax ko guys yi wala
waaw recommendations yi am neen few recommendations so ñu ngi leen group some of them ñu ngi leen group on the short term 1 year within a year benn year pour ñu def some recommendations te benn si gaay moo nekk pour ñu check pay scale boobu noonu bu ñu doon wax ñu del si waat pay scale boobu noonu ñu review ko ñu xool ndax mën nañ ko implement because government mu ngi doon def liggéey lu bari si loolu te loolu tamit nekk na loo xam ne war nañ ko mun a revive mun nañoo tamit ñu check xool update nit yi seen job descriptions moo nekk seen liggéey lan ak lan leen war a def because of doo mun a di yokka salary fekka yokkuloo responsibilities so salaries nooy yokku salaries ak responsibilities ñoom ñaar yooyu ñoo dee go together am neen yeneen recommendation tamit fii nii yoo xam ne within 5 years si 5 years
mooy long term
you can say short to medium waaw
okay
so yooyu noonu moo nekk pour ñu xool naka la ñoo make sure ne for example one of them pour ensure KPIs key performance indicators moo nekk pour xool nit yi seen performance lan la nit yi di def ak seen liggéey for exemple yow Buuba tey di nga gis ne Kerr Fatou dinañ ne every month war ngaa am or every week war ngaa publish 4 articles war ngaa def 5 shows so loolu yëpp si la bokka it na not only si binda bi rek mun naa am tamit financial targets. war nga indi adverts pour business bi mun a float. loolu tamit yëpp targets la. because of su dut loolu business bi du mun a sustain.
Yeah, that is right.
so yooyu noonu yëpp mooy comme key performance indicators KPI. so foog ñu def KPI yooyu noonu boo xam ne dinañ bëgg di def lu ñëw appraisal mooy lan. leen la jox one sa KPI. ba pare at the end of the year. wala comme 6 months nii. at bi su jeexee. ñu check ñu gis yow Buuba yow ñu ngi wax ne da nga war na def 10 articles si month bi.
waaye defuloo
wante yow. article nga def de Buuba. naka leen laa
te loolu bari na si government bi de.
so naka leen léegi promotion ñëw la.
and you are not doing the work.
so wante fekka Ousmane moom 12 articles la def
instead of even
so da ngaa gis ne loolu kenn du mun a
da ngaa mun a identify ñoo xam ne waaw they are working and the people that are not working.
waaw soo defee yooyu noonu KPIs ak yeneen ngeen di def annual reviews yooyu noonu da ngaa gis ne annual reviews yi sax war naa tegu ba pare so that allowance salary increase su ñëwee du ñëw njëkk a dem si annual review yi ñu check Ousmane last annual review bi def na fa lu grave salary increment su ñëwee rek Ousmane moo ko yóbbu.
that is right.
so promotion su ñëwee sax kii moo ko jël because of loolu at least ñëpp a ko nangu dinañ xam ne kayit bi moo ko baax. so yooyu noonu yëpp bokk na in fact tamit am na benn boo xam ne pension si because fii am na dara lu daw yaram si biir dëkk bi. pensioners da nga read pensioners they are even lu leen dee jox sax pittance la.
du leen dee njëriñ sax.
da nga liggéey ñaata at the end of the day nga retire ba pare it's like the pension scheme dañ ko war a xool. they have to dañ ko war a review ñu overhaul ko ñu xool naka la ñu make sure ne nit ki su liggéeyee bem retire fii si dëkk bi war nga mun a survive.
That is right.
That is decent life.
Kañu ma alaat ne time bi dafa mel ni jeex na waaye naa bàyyi Mr. Jallow mu just summarize ko si Paul right so ano nani pular right nani pular so jone haalnan musidɓe fulɓe rek ko hoko addi en ɗo maybe aɗum wani ne raɓintina rek pour because wattu huuɓi tan
a jarama Jeff Buba ko addi men ɗo woni laaren government hokkoɓe yoɓete liggotoɓe e nguuram hokkoɓe yoɓete wona ɗum tan yo hokkoɓe yoɓete hono foti ɓeyduɓe
hono ɓe ɓeydata
hen anni si ɓe ɓeydin hono ɗum in tampinan men ɗon walla in tampinta men en fotani toon rek way en jeeyine e sareji goɗɗi Nigeria yo Sierra Leone min laari benne hokkoɓe yoɓete toon yo Gambia so nde min laari ɗum min guine Gambia komi yoɓete ko ina famdi no bete ina famdi ko komi yoɓete ko wawa min wuurno because wurnam ngam ina beeɗo
a ɓeeɗo ñande fof
ina beeɗo
yes
way komin dañata ko komin heɓata ko komin yoɓete ko in beeɗaki a liggoto duuɓi sappo sata liggo i meeɗa beeɗe te gurnam ngal e ñande o ina beeɗe so joni min simi yoɓama 2000 sako maalo 2300 hoɗo ittumi on 300 omo yoɓanmi sako maalo pass funtaki toon sukaɓe school mumen o joni on gab hoko yoɓanmi hoko mi dañata yo hoko mbaɗanmi ko spend yo mo dépense mo hoɗo ittami on kalis joni so on corruption on min laaratno min laari hen min dañi hen ɗumanine place sappo like 10% sibe
temedere fof dulaje sappo
temedere fof dulaje sappo si mbeɗama komin yoɓete ko a yiyat ne corruption amen o tappaleyaji ɗi yo wujjugol ngol kaalisugol yo goddum in beeɗoto temedere si
dulaji
jeego a yiyat ne enen dal we have a long way to go.
That is right. Mr. Jallow, thank you very much. I know you're struggling with the fula. I don't know why. Mr. Jallow is a fula boy. He's a fula boy. Yes, I see he's struggling with the fula. Yes, so I think we are we have to say bye-bye because we are against time. So what do you want to say last, because the time is finished?
Hey, like I said yesterday, I'm hopeful. We are hopeful that the government will come again and then revisit the pay scale.
Yeah.
You know, because the research is very expensive. They did a lot of research. You know, hired a lot of consultants to do this, and then it all go in vain. So I think they will just reconsider the pay scale and then come up with a different one, an overhaul of the gender pay scale.
Definitely, they should.
I'm sure the government is willing to do that, and yeah, we are hopeful that this will be in the soonest possible time.
All right. Flex?
Yeah, indeed, thank you so much for being with you and all the listeners who were listening to us. And of course, I just feel like my brother has said it all. The most important thing is that the government has done a lot of good work. And I was saying that the government, there's a lot of goodwill in that regard, coming up with a new pay scale, approving it by cabinet level. And now they cannot allow that to just evaporate. It should be part of a key aspect of reform to reduce the inequality gap and the poverty gap in this country. To revisit that PMO pay scale, and also to look at some of the recommendations that are in this report. You know, help the pensioners, because a lot of these things are also very important in the large scale of things. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you very much. Of course, gentlemen, Usman Jallow is the consultant, of course, researcher, and of course, Flex Dan, journalist in the Gambia, and I am Buba Gajigo. Until I come on your way again, bye-bye.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151, or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.
Agada.
Mbijan raganyadi.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la sto.
Ha, code nyenje.
Okay. Korsa. Nsila ID soto.
Ha, sa soto. Sorry. Agada.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka.
Ha,
mbare mo ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom Yona Forest de Bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbari ya bere. Ha. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Ha. Gambia kono anin Gambia e bantala bankol. Nko kodo kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi mani domorol dir fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Ha e wo moyo diat ha.
Apelenta
ni wo ka ni lafta nyelen kendol e binaji.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.